Good morning. I'm a co-founder, the president and the creator of algorithms in the Toruń-based company Simplito that cooperates quite actively with the Nicholas Copernicus University, with the Faculty of IT and Mathematics. I carry out some academic research, and I'm an academic teacher. I met the topic of blockchain and Bitcoin 2 years ago when one of the projects in our company made me revise my knowledge about the Bitcoin, and I had to learn how it all works. I created my own currency, and right now, if you would like to buy some, I'm the owner of majority of that currency. And now, as a matter of fact, I am and fascinated with this moderate aspect of skepticism, but I am fascinated with the blockchain as technology. Right now, it is referred to more as the distributed ledger in the academic science. It is related to the development of cryptography, of many ideas that we use in our company. We have created a tool for private communication in our company based on that. Well, gentlemen from Coin Firm stole my show a little bit, but let's have a quick overview at what blockchain is. It is a distributed ledger of transaction. It is also a ledger of states. You have to know that blockchain is not only about the currency, which is Bitcoin, but there are blockchains as well, and the ledgers that are there are the states stored, and there are the programs in the web that modify the states there. So there is more to it. So what is important and what is needed is the global consensus of the mutual distrust. Everyone is distrustful towards one another, so the node that wants to enter the network is always potentially treated as a fraudster or a criminal. We know that there is a lot of research into finding effective evidence of how to solve this problem. One of the solutions is power of work, used in Bitcoin and loads of other related currencies. But there are other ideas as well. For example, proof of state. It is the proof of being the owner of previous values. And the logic is that if I'm an owner of something in that network, it is not my business to diminish the quality of this network. That's why the ones that have proof of state are more entitled to several things. And apart from proof of state, there is proof of storage, which shows that I have a network and I store some files. It gives me an opportunity to mine other blocks. And lately, Intel, when they were playing with Internet of Things, they implemented proof of elapsed time. It is a very interesting concept because, contrary to proof of work, we are proving that the processor was at the idle state. Unfortunately, this is only a concept, and the practical application is not implemented yet. Intel also came up with a trusted execution environment, and right now we transfer the trust of the network onto the processor owner, saying that the producer is fair and that the proof will work. There are many other ideas. For example, Ripple network. They use an algorithm based on quorum, and they create their consensus based on quorum. Everyone is interested as well in the public verifiability of what is going on in the network. This transparency and public verifiability is important. Generally, blockchain is the thing where we not always want everything to be transparent and visible. One more thing, when we build a blockchain, we don't always want it to be public. What I mean by public is it refers to the users of the network. I'm not referring to the really general public. But the blockchains are taken into account as closed blockchains or private blockchains. There are various modifications, blockchains from which you cannot generate anything, but you can buy something, and so on. Security and privacy, yes, we mentioned this before in terms of anonymity. And we have heard the aspect of security in terms of the computing power needed to break the blockchain algorithm. And I want to add that last year in this conference we had Professor Ziembowski from the Warsaw University, and he told us about the weaknesses of Bitcoin, and he said something very interesting. He foresaw that at some point, because of not updated versions of the software, the transactions can be stopped, and then Bitcoin will just collapse, because when people see that it is possible, they will run away from it. And the coincidence was amazing, because 2 weeks later, on the 4th of July that year, it is exactly what happened. The outdated versions of Bitcoin that were not updated, they led to generating 7 blocks in a sequence that signed no transactions at all. And this problem is published as acknowledgement that yes, it happened, we're not able to withdraw that, and all the miners, the big miners, they force their clients to update the software, so the solution is there, but the problem persists. And we can say that there are thousands, hundred thousands of computers that mine, and we saw over 5,000 nodes, and there is over 100,000 computers in one node. So this was to give you an overview, and this is what came to my mind as the last year's conference. And it is important that the market had no reaction to that. So the graph line didn't even change. At the Bitcoin org, at the network and status, you can see information that the problem is not solved. But the point is that nothing happened, and it is interesting that the social effect right now, Bitcoin has its strength that is based not only on the computing power, but it is also publicly observed by such a number of people that every fraud is easily detectable and it doesn't pay off. This is another aspect of security. When it comes to blockchains, there is an initiative from the beginning of this year. It is called Hyperledger, and there are a number of companies, including Intel, that has their own chain with the elapsed time proof, IBM and 3RD and other groups. They joined their forces into one group that wants to make publicly available the result of work that will be a new, different ledger. So we see that there's some development in this area. R3 Group is a consortium of over 40 financial institutions from all over the world, and they are focused on examining the application of blockchain technology in the financial systems. And that include Goldman Sachs, Royal Bank of Scotland, Berkeley, Commonwealth Bank of Australia, and so on. They joined this consortium in order to analyze the possibilities of using the blockchain technology and not Bitcoin in the financial systems. And just a while ago, the number of banks went up to 13. They published their first test results in January when they used the use of the Ethereum blockchain with an Ares company that is dealing with Ethereum. There was a trial made about the application of the particular chains. Then they said, okay, maybe let's not do it. And right now they have over 42 financial institutions as their members. And on the 24th of May this year, the first Chinese financial institution joined them. It is Ping An Insurance Group, and they also want to participate in this research group. And so does the bank. It is the third biggest or the biggest Chinese bank. So they have one insurance and one bank. So yes, they wanted to participate in this project too. This year, there was a report published by the Governmental Office for Science. The report was published as an open license, and it is related to distributed ledger technology beyond blockchain. So it refers to application of blockchain in administration, in security, in areas related to solve the issue of the European VAT and the links, so generally the blockchain topic. Now, we see in the topic the public verifiability. So every transaction can have a unique signature that we can generate, and from that we can generate a Bitcoin address just like that and send money. And if somebody wants to check whether we created this document and whether it was at that time, we can then show the proof that the address was created from the Bitcoin. Usually it is just a matter of sending the money out. So trusted timestamping is related to the fact that we can try to fake events, but if I want to make an event, then I use the blockchain and I have 10 minutes window, and if my transaction doesn't realize in this window, it can be prolonged up to 20 minutes, let's say. But if we want to timestamp an event or a transaction, we can do it with accuracy up to 1 day, and I will mention about that later on. The next thing is the verifiability of private data. The blockchain can be the place for storing the voting results. Let me think. Estonia had e-voting, but they didn't use the blockchain. In Denmark, one of the parties had an internal voting, and they used the blockchain technology.
Dokładnie. Gdzie? Texas. Libertarian Party of Texas. No to też.
And another party in Texas, in the United States, they did internal voting based on blockchain. So if we want to verify something in a public domain, but without revealing the private information, we can do that thanks to blockchain. This is one more thing that I want to talk to you about. We heard about public verification in blockchain. It is the fact now that when we want to verify something, I don't want to be a member of this community. I want to be able to do it quickly. That's why there is this simplified payment verification protocol. So we just keep these little blocks, and this there is only a minimum amount of information plus the digital signature of all the transactions. So when we have over 2,000 and a half transactions per block, we don't want to download 1 MB per block. So we just select the transaction and download the proof. We just copy the track that is needed to calculate the amount. So I don't have to have the zero transaction and first transaction if I have the signature of the total of the transaction. I can have a shortcut. That's why out of 1 MB, 800 bytes is enough to prove that a transaction happened. Why am I mentioning this? It is because we used this in our software. It's an idea that was developed in Princeton University last year, and it is called CONNEX, Bringing Key Transparency. And this is to link the blockchain technology with other things. When you get into the details, it turns out that it's a private database with a public abbreviation of the contents of that database, where the history of these abbreviated versions is kept in a structure as a blockchain. So you have this blockchain technology used here, and they use it to create the public key infrastructure. So in this way, they are replacing this little effective and not really nice public key infrastructure. In 2011, let's say, one of the partners, one of the certification authorities was hacked, and for Google Mail and for Yahoo, the hackers generated fake certificates, and they could present themselves as their Gmail account, as our Gmail accounts, and ask us for our passwords. So this is to replace the privacy PKI. And only when we know the key, we can access the contents. There is an index
nam ścieżkę w MicroTree.
that
Trochę inaczej, tam nie mamy danych porozkładanych w layerach, tam mamy dane ułożone w takie wielkie drzewo, gdzie ścieżki są wyznaczone przez indeksy, przez klucze. I to, co jest najważniejsze w tej pracy, to jest to, że dla każdego klucza ten system CONNEX dostarcza nam dowód istnienia lub dowód nieistnienia w tej bazie. To jest ważna rzecz z bazą danych. Jeśli kogoś chcemy oszukać, to my możemy powiedzieć, przepraszam, ja nigdy czegoś takiego nie miałem. Tu nie ma takiej możliwości. Mówię, albo to mam i proszę, tak to wygląda, albo mówię, tego nie mam, proszę, tu jest dowód, że nie mam. Tak? Także to jest też takie rozwiązanie, które może zostać użyte w przyszłości w jakimś, myślę, blockchainie. Po prostu taka trochę inna struktura przechowywania danych w blockchainie. Czas mi się skończył, szkoda. No to tylko jeszcze tutaj dodam, że nie dodam, bo to bym musiał dłużej mówić.
To 3. Zgoda na 3?
Jeżeli chodzi o właśnie tego CONNEXa, to jest taka inicjatywa Keybase się nazywa, która służy do takiego zarządzania kluczami publicznymi i oni na przykład właśnie mają bardzo podobny schemat, że trzymają tą historię skrótów swoich w swoim własnym takim logu historii zmian i oni to publikują w blockchainie bitcoinowym. W związku z czym ta siła bitcoina może być użyta również tutaj, w tym CONNEXie, do tego, że ja owszem, mam swoją prywatną bazę danych, owszem, publicznie rozgłaszam, co tam się w niej dzieje, właściwie publicznie rozgłaszam zmiany w tej bazie danych, ale ja, ponieważ to ja robię, to ja mogę znowu coś oszukać. No to, żeby tego nie móc zrobić, publikuję to w blockchainie bitcoinowym i już mam załatwioną tą sprawę, czyli wykorzystuję tą kwestię podpisu Proof of Existence w blockchainie bitcoinowym, żeby to zrobić ważnym, nie wiem. PriveMix, tak jak mówiłem, to jest oprogramowanie, które teraz tworzymy do prywatnej korespondencji, wymiany plików szyfrowanych i tak dalej. Wykorzystujemy dużo technologii, które tak naprawdę gdzieś nam się o oczy obiły przy pracy z blockchainem. Także to jest też ciekawa rzecz, że można to wykorzystać